Welcome to the deep dive. This time, we're diving into the world of Emma Frost. You guys sent in a ton of stuff. We're talking old school X-Men, even some deep cuts from the Marvel database. Seems like you're ready to get into it, huh?
Yeah, and what really struck me about your request was the amount of material on her early years.
Hmm.
It's like you want to understand her from the beginning.
Yeah, totally. So let's start at the beginning. I mean, her first appearance in X-Men, hashtag 129, wow. She just shows up, this glamorous, powerful psychic, immediately going after young Kitty Pryde.
It really throws you for a loop.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, you know she's cunning, ruthless, willing to use anyone to get what she wants. She isn't some, stereotypical villain hiding in the shadows. Emma's scary because she's intelligent, ambitious, and she plans everything out.
And that ambition, it comes from her past, right? Wealthy Boston family, developing these telepathic powers, and a pretty messed up family life. There's a lot there.
It's important to look at that family. Her father, he was, well, let's just say he wasn't a great dad, especially favored her sister, who didn't have powers like her. So she learned to rely on manipulation on her powers to get what she wanted, to feel loved, I guess.
So she becomes this master manipulator, which, in a weird way, explains how she ends up as the White Queen of the Hellfire Club.
And we can't just gloss over the Hellfire Club, right? This isn't just a villain's clubhouse. We're talking influential mutants, humans, all fighting for power. For Emma, becoming the White Queen wasn't about a title. It was about proving she was the best in a world that underestimated her.
But hold on, before the Hellfire Club, she was running the Massachusetts Academy, teaching her own group of mutant students, the Hellions. And this is where things get really interesting. I mean, she cares about them, but her methods, let's just say Professor X, wouldn't approve.
Exactly. You see this contradiction with her at the academy. She loves teaching almost like a, I don't know, dark reflection of Xavier's dream. But she's harsh, pushing them to use their powers for themselves, just like she learned.
And then there's that quote, right, after the X-Men stop her from kidnapping Kitty's parents, she says, "One more time then, for the children." It's chilling. Like, even when she's caught, she makes it seem like it's for their own good.
Which makes you think, how much of that is real? Her believing it, and how much is her just being good at manipulating people? She learned early on that controlling people is how she survives. It's something we'll see again and again, especially when we get to the Hellfire Club and, well, the Hellions' tragic ending.
You know, when you sent that request in, I gotta say, seeing Sebastian Shaw's name, that got me interested. The Hellfire Club, with them in charge, it's this whole other level of ambition, maybe even like twisted love.
Their whole thing is one of the most complicated relationships in X-Men. Both of them, crazy smart, want power, want to be on top. But there's this history, this understanding. It ties them together in a way they probably didn't even expect.
Like they're two sides of the same coin, always trying to outmaneuver each other. You see it in how they talk, these little power moves, threats, but also like grudging respect sometimes.
Right. And you can't forget Emma's the White Queen in this boys' club, basically. She uses her looks, to her advantage, turning the tables on them.
And that's when she really owns that look, right? The white costume, the diamonds, being totally icy. It's a statement.
Totally. It's like she's rejecting Xavier's whole thing, going for something harsher, more survival of the fittest. But that white, it's also her pushing everyone away, protecting herself from getting hurt again.
Makes you think, knowing she can love, how much did losing the Hellions really get to her? That was a turning point, don't you think?
No doubt, their deaths, and then everything in Genosha, all those mutants murdered. It forced her to see that her way of looking at things, it wasn't enough. She built up all these walls and then, bam, they're shattered. It changed her. And that's when she gets that secondary mutation, becoming Diamond.
And that's not just some cool power-up, right? It's like connected to how she's feeling inside.
Exactly. Becoming Diamond, it's her armor, literally. Protects her from pain, but also cuts her off.
So she goes from this, Diamond Queen to teaching at Xavier's school. What's that about? Was she trying to make up for things, use her powers for good? Or knowing Emma, was it all, I don't know, part of some plan?
That is the million-dollar question. And the cool thing is, the comics, they don't really give you a straight answer. She's all in on teaching, helping students like the Stepford Cuckoos.
Yeah.
But then there's Cyclops, still messed up over Jean, and they start this whole thing. It's complicated.
Talk about shaking things up at the X-Mansion.
No kidding. It forces everyone, even the readers, to think about grief, love, what's right and wrong, especially with the X-Men, who are supposed to be, the good guys. Emma, she makes them question everything.
And then just when you think she's becoming one of the good guys, bam, the Phoenix Force shows up.
Yeah.
And it's intense.
Even though it doesn't last long, Her being a Phoenix host, it shows you how powerful she could be, for good or bad. Makes her smarter, stronger, more ruthless. You see it in her choices, how she handles all that power. It's a big deal.
Then there's the whole Cyclops Wolverine thing. After everything with her and Professor X, you'd think she'd be on his side, right?
Here's the thing about Emma. She wants mutants to survive, even if it means getting her hands dirty. As mutants are being hunted, facing new threats, she starts to wonder if Xavier's way is really the answer.
So she sides with Cyclops, who's going all revolutionary,
Right.
which leads to the Phoenix Five.
And that's when everything blows up. The Phoenix Force, it can be a gift, but it can also destroy you. It uses their weaknesses, twists what they want, and, well, it doesn't end well.
Even after all that, the Phoenix Five falling apart, she's still fighting for mutants. I mean, working with Magneto, that says a lot.
It shows how much she's changed. She's putting old fights aside, working with enemies if it means mutants will have a future. And that brings us to Krakoa. On the Quiet Council, running the Hellfire Trading Company, she's a major player now.
What a journey, huh? From White Queen to practically mutant royalty. Makes you wonder, after everything, has she really changed? I mean, she's made some pretty questionable choices.
That's the thing about Emma Frost. There's no easy answer. Has she changed? Definitely. But is she doing it for the right reasons? Maybe, in her own way. But she's still ambitious, cunning, always playing the long game. That's just who she is.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Emma Frost, this complex, sometimes frustrating character, here's something to think about. Can someone with her past, someone who's done some pretty bad things to get what she wants, ever really escape who they were? Or is it that complexity, that back and forth between good and bad, that makes Emma Frost so interesting, so unforgettable?